City Council workshop meeting. First item on the agenda, second item on the agenda actually, is public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
No? Okay. Third item is discussion regarding the low water dam that we've had. I think we've got representation.
Okay.
Yes? Good. Man with all the answers right there.
I got some.
Right there.
Well, I'm Bill Myers. I'm your city engineer. I haven't met everybody yet. I'll maybe after the meeting I can meet everybody. But as far as the low water dam, where we are, the plans are done. We're waiting though for some confirmation from the geotechnical study that we need to do. And I think I reported to you on that before, I think. But the geotech is supposed to move in next week to do their drilling, and the city's been clearing out. They're making a way for them to get in there. It's pretty rough on the south side. So hopefully by your second meeting in September, or maybe the 1st of October, we'll have all the data back and be able to give you a better number on the budget. We did 2 budgets. One was with maybe minimal riprap. The one was with more riprap, and what's going to drive that is the shear strength of the soil, and we need to verify that. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to get some. He's going to bring a all-terrain type vehicle into the site and do the cores, but he still needs some help getting in there with the trees and things. So we should have that. Again, it's supposed to move in next week and get that done. So that's where we are. And as far as permitting wise, we've started the permit process. The initial indications from the Corps was that we would be issued a nationwide permit based on the fact that we're going back where we had a dam before. So we're going to be right there in that same location. So that's our hopes. Worst case scenario, if they don't, once we submit it in the final form, and if they don't like it, then we might have to potentially do a public hearing. And if we do, we do. We'll just have fun. So that's what they're for.
So there was a dam there before?
Yes, sir.
What happened to it?
It washed out in 1995. And it was put in the 70s, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
76 or so, something like that.
That's right there on that band.
It was just giant flood. I mean,
It was a big, yeah, it was a big flood.
what's the likelihood that this will wash out again?
Well, we're trying
It's right there on the
to,
corner. It's,
we are trying to mitigate the likelihood of it happening again. That's why I'm going to this effort of getting the geotech. And yeah, this was before my time, the other deal, so I didn't get to see it totally what existed. So
moved to the north side.
we're trying to mitigate that by doing the geotech, and so we can get as much benefit for as long as we can with our investment. So that's what we're trying to do.
If we move forward like you're hoping, timeline-wise, when do you feel like this would be all set up and done?
I think we could have it for this next, I believe we can have it for this next summer, have it in place, because the actual work being in the area, you know, it's probably a 90-day contract, probably something in that range, maybe 90, maybe 120. But nevertheless, that's our goal, is to have it so you can have it for this next summer. Now, if we stay in whatever this positive rainfall period that we seem to be in, then it's not quite as critical. But chances are we won't stay in this positive rainfall period. I hope we do, but there's a chance we won't. You know, so I never thought it'd be as dry as it was before. Really didn't.
And when did you say the geotech thing will be done?
They're supposed to be here next week, and the city's working on, and it's been quite an ordeal clearing the way for them to get in. But they're getting it. They'll have it ready for them, completed next week, so they can get in. And we got on their schedule as well, so timing wise, it's going to work out real good. So we're excited.
And why is the limit 5 feet?
Well, okay, we're treating this more like a low water dam. All we're trying to do is to increase basically the head or the water over our pumps, so we can operate them longer without drawing down the creek. And if we went any higher than 5 feet, we felt like it was going to back the water up too far upstream. So right now it's going to go up to basically right at Broadway, the way we have it. And any more than that, it could, hydraulically we felt like it might be more of an inhibitant to the stream's basically flood capacity and things like that. So we wanted to limit it at that. So I mean, Yeah, now I don't know, you probably know more about this than I do, but I think there's been talk in the past about trying to, really create a real lake off Cottonwood Creek. When I was a kid, they used to talk about it, that someday it would be coming to our house on Highway 74. It never happened. But I don't know where the dam was going to be. Maybe y'all have heard about that, but that would be something that'd be neat.
No, anyways, what was planned, but because of all the homes that are built down in there now,
It'd
dropped.
be very tough.
It'd be millions of dollars to build it
Yeah.
and get it moved, so.
So that's why we're leaving it at that level, so we don't cause a hydraulic conveyance problem for the creek and for our neighbors. So,
And a couple of the guys still irrigate. I used to irrigate out of it, but I know Ralph Front still irrigates, and he has a low water dam that he's built down there on the creek too, and so it backs it up. And so it would affect him, and it probably will, maybe not a whole lot, but I think there's somebody else on downstream that does a little bit of irrigating as well.
so
Does the Corps look at that when they issue a
yes,
permit?
they will. And the water board, well, we already have our water board permit, but the Corps, they will look at those issues, and as I mentioned, the main thing is we had a dam there before, and we're just putting back what we had. And we don't see it as being a problem. We just need to just get our geotech in so we can move forward.
Are you talking about just the dam, or are you talking about the pump and everything being done in 90 days?
Well, the pump, we're not changing the pump.
Okay.
The pumps are fine.
Okay.
All we're doing is, basically, like there are times that we can pump just fine, but what the dam's going to do is it's going to allow us
The pump
to
more often.
be constant. Yeah, if we want to, we can pump constant and won't have to be restricted at all. So, yeah, so the pump's already done. It's all there. The intake's all there. We're just enhancing what's coming to the intake.
So the intake heads are at what level? You got a 5-foot dam, and they're at, they draw from where, 2 feet? Or
Let me look here.
where do they start to draw from?
Yeah, there's one pipe. It's a 30, existing pipe is a 36 or a 30-inch, don't recall off the top of my head, diameter pipe that comes out to the edge of the creek. It's pretty close to the flow line of the creek. And what we're doing is, it has water on the pipe, but we're trying to get to where it probably has at times 24 inches to 30 inches of water in the creek. We want to maintain the 5 feet so that we can have more water in our wet well. And we were limited when we did, is it 30? I can't see the size on here. But, we took the wet well as deep as we could back in whatever year that was we built it. And over time, just the need for the higher water elevation is going to be very, very, very important. And we need to operate this thing almost constantly. We really do. And when we did it, I didn't envision we were going to be operating as much. I didn't expect us to have the dry period. That really surprised me. It really did. So what we're doing is we're protecting our overall investment. We're protecting our available take on the creek by doing the projects. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but
Is there any concern of it eventually silting in, or what precautions do we take in the design of the dam to prevent that?
There is a pipe that we're allowing in that will let water flow on through. We do have that can be used. So we're not necessarily concerned about it silting in over time. If it gets to be a problem, we can always dredge it if we have to, but we don't see it with the velocities we're there. We don't see it being a major obstacle, cause a problem. So.
Right. Other questions?
We just need to get it going.
What flow is that gonna allow?
Out of our pumps.
24/7 period.
We could do, at times, we've been able to do 3,000 gallons a minute. And we could get pretty close to 3,000, 24/7 if we wanted to. I don't know, if we have a
Right.
place for it to go. If the lake's full, we can't take it there. If we don't need it at the plant, so.
But if we were to sell water and we needed it, that's what we need.
That'd be very, very helpful if we ever got to the point where we
Right.
could sell more water. That would be, I'd want this definitely to be there. So that was part of the overall water supply scenario that we had always looked at, was having that as sort of a backup and a supplement. The 2 lakes, obviously, and we mentioned other ideas in the future, ultimately about even looking to the north of the river, some water. There's water there. We talked about ultimately looking at water in the Garber. We've talked about that. Matter of fact, previous councils back in the mid-90s, I believe, they looked at trying to develop a well field in the Garber. They got some resistance, and so that never happened. So that was before your time too. It was before my time, but that's always an option too.
Well, so let me ask you, can this low water dam keep our pump stations at full capacity on what they're designed to be at
Yes.
peak capacity without touching the water from the lakes?
No, we'll need all of them. Now at times, yes, we could live just off of the creek, Cottonwood Creek. But I think for quality wise, for treatability, the staff likes to try to blend them a little bit if they can, or they like to have the option seasonally, maybe use the creek, then maybe use one of the lakes. So I would think over time we'd want to, we still need our lakes. We still need Guthrie Lake and Liberty, but the original intent was we were going to just try to maintain level of Liberty with the pumps, but then we found that it's such good water to treat that they really like taking it straight to the plant if they can. So it's a really good deal to have, And if we grow, or get some client or customer that's just really big, then we can, there's all, like I mentioned, there's all other sources we can look at that are not horrible. Like I said, the Garber, we can look at the terrace deposits of the Cimarron. There's a lot of things that we can do that are pretty easy to do. We also have the alluvium of the Cimarron. We have to treat it, but that's another option. We have reuse too, which is not real popular right now. So anyway.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate that.
My pleasure.
No other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is discussion concerning disc golf course.
Do we have anybody here?
I think our attorney's going to discuss
Is that your hobby?
Zero about that one. I know what a disc looks like.
From what I understand, I was asked to put this on the agenda a while back. We finally got it here, but I could not get hold of the individual that knows all about it. Sean Turk is his name. If I can get a hold of him, and I did try, but I think his phone is broken or something, and I will continue to do that. But from what I know and what he has told me, is that he would like to take a portion or an unused portion of Highland Park, which is a wooded area back, I believe, on the east, along the whole east face or the east property line, and turn that into a disc golf course.
Maxine, do you have some information?
I do have some information.
There you go. See, she's prepared,
I'd
Ed. You got it.
prepared just in case. Not that I particularly like this seat. I'll tell you what I know.
Okay, all right.
This was brought to the planning department back when Renee was here. And she had worked with Sean Turk for a while. We did put it on the park board agenda in January of this year. And the discussion, in the discussion we had Sherry High and her daughter Caitlin. Caitlin is a Girl Scout, and she is working very hard to get some award for her senior year, and she's in her senior year this school year that's beginning to start. So there was much discussion about where this could be put. There was a lot of discussion on the cost, and the cost, Sherry High and I think John Turk was supposed to get us some numbers of the cost of what this would be, and yes, we did look at Highland, and there is a possibility for all of that, but this is set dormant now since February. I have not heard one word from anybody. I've got several emails on, Caitlin is working on estimated budget, and that's about it. Courtney McLemore with the county has helped me some on this, and we're trying to find out what it's going to take to put a course in. So we're waiting on numbers This is as far as, do you have no information?
No, I don't have anything on numbers, but I just want to stress the point that in our conversation with the High family with Mr. Turk, they said that not only was the planning of this going to be part of this Girl Scouts project, but the fundraising was as well.
Absolutely.
And so they were not coming to the city asking for any financing. At that point, they later came back and said some improvements might need to be made later on, and we kind of addressed those issues as they came, but the majority of this was supposed to be fundraised through the Girl Scout project.
Yes.
And that's
Thank
the way I
you.
understood that too, when I talked with Mr. Turk, that funding was pretty well handled. It would just be coordinating with the city and with grounds and keeping it to open up or do whatever it takes to open it up for
That's quite a bit.
minimally to get in there and clean that out. And I think he's got ways to do it too, so he would have to get with you or the grounds
And
to
like I
figure
said,
out.
this is set dormant since February. I've heard nothing more.
So we need to get with Mr. Turk.
Yes.
There you go, Ed.
Mhm. I tried.
I think we all have. Anything else?
So would this be a revenue generator too? I mean, would it be like regular golf, that there's a fee involved?
I
or would
think
it
there
just be
would
public
be,
access?
but I think it's just a lot of it's public access, and then we're saddled with keeping up the grounds, and right now
That's-
we don't have that ability. We do not.
And that was my main question to him, because I figured that's what was going to happen. If this was made,
Yes.
then the city was going to be, had to take the burden of keeping it up.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Well, it's a shame he's not here.
It's a wonderful idea. I know that a number of cities has put this in, and I think Bruce was telling us that he had been involved in some of that also. So he might have some ideas that I don't know about, which we probably need to discuss with Bruce, because I think he's probably got some good ideas.
Are we gonna try to have this for maybe next workshop? Like contact people, and I know you tried
Mr.
to
Turk
have the
is-
city do it.
If he can be contacted, then
Yeah.
I guess I can call Bruce and see if we can get this put on the next workshop.
Was there any other discussion other than Highland Park of any other location, such as the Elbow? Because I heard someone talking about turning some of the Elbow back into some useful land.
Of course, you have to have access to it, which is
Yeah, you
a
have
bridge.
to. It has to be accessible to the.
Foot access.
Yes,
You don't need to
yes.
drive over it.
They even talked about lake at one time
That would-
too, and
Lake
but
would
it's
be
not
a-
as accessible
Yeah.
for people who just walk in and do so.
Well, I know on the listing of that the GAP committee, the Guthrie Area Project Group put together, they said $85,000 was the initial investment. I don't know if that was at a existing site, or was that, or if that was creating a new site though.
I've heard that figure too, but I don't know for sure. It's-
There is some difference between free and 85,000.
That's right. It's quite a bit.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have
Thank
any
you.
You're welcome.
information to share with the group at this point? Let's see if we can't get all the players then together and information together for the next workshop, so we can not have that dangling out there. The next item on discussion is regarding the sales tax proposal. As you know, it originally was tabled. We've had discussion concerning strategies for how to maximize, if you will, the awareness and knowledge and the success of a sales tax campaign. Larry Pinnell had been trying to get in contact with the people that worked with the on the school bond issue, and actually I've made a number of telephone calls and have been unsuccessful in getting a response. So that's kind of fallen by the wayside, but we still have that item on our projected horizon here.
Last time I knew, or last time I remember, they said they would contact some other companies or organizations that could do polling as well. So has there anything been done?
Not to my knowledge, and I don't know if Larry left anything with Bruce or not, but obviously with Bruce not here, we can't, we don't have any information
I would
there.
think this is something we need to speak with, or have Bruce here to have be in the loop with this, so if he has something new to go on, that we can.
I know
go with.
that Larry left us a summary document that reflected a copy of what Norman had done, or not what they had done. I guess it was kind of their press release on their sales tax. But in the press release, they identified that they had a consulting firm that had been involved with polling the residents to, in my understanding, to look at the projects that were listed and also whether they were in favor of those projects being funded by the sales tax. And I don't know if, as far as I know, that's as far as it got. I don't know that any contact had been made, but we need to do, if we're still interested in looking at a group to help facilitate this process, then we need to make those contacts.
I think we need to direct Bruce to give us some information on potential contacts he's made. And there's plenty of it. It's not the only company in the whole state that does this. I mean, now they're a broad company. They do campaign strategy as well, but there's some companies that just do polling as well. So,
yeah, I think, well, in the news release it mentioned polling.
yeah.
So the other thing that I know Bruce has been involved with is taking the list that the GAP committee presented and going back and looking at the estimates of costs. And I assume he's been working with some of the department heads on that.
I had a brief update during the last discussion.
Okay.
That he was.
So I know that he's trying to make sure that these figures that are listed here are fairly consistent and fairly on solid ground. So, but that's as far as that's as much information as I have on the development. Okay, we will ask Bruce to engage in some contacts regarding polling and also give us the feedback on the cost estimates that were listed by the GAP committee.
I still think we need to go through and make sure we all agree that that's where this money's going. Because, you know, I mean, I'll just throw it out there.
I mean, in terms of this listing
Where it
of
gets
projects.
spent. Right.
Okay.
I think that's where polling can help us, and we could,
Well, that's
we
what
could ask
polling is
those,
about.
plus add other things that we think are important, and have them ask away and see what the public thinks about them.
Well, that's the reason for
That's why you
polling.
do polling. That's right. That's my point. Is polling can do that for us. That's what. Yeah. That's what you want to get at. That's why it costs money.
Well, are there other projects that we need to add to this list?
Well, I think like Bruce said, I talked to him briefly about it one day a week ago or so before this incident came up, and he was in the process of getting his arms around it. I'm sure that's why he's looking at that and discussing it internally and everything else, and I would like to see what his input is on what he thinks.
Okay.
When you were talking about wastewater treatment lines, so you need
Infrastructure.
to emphasize that, and that should be on there with the price and everything. So.
I mean, it's obviously
That's an example.
pretty expensive. We see what's coming on council tonight. You know, some of these sewer lines, non-sexy stuff buried under the ground.
Yeah.
We got a lot of that we need to take care of so that we can have growth. And although the public doesn't see it, that would be a good place, in my opinion, for money to be spent that we currently don't have. So, those type of things.
Okay. All right. We will we'll convey that to Bruce and see if we can have more information available at our next workshop. So we need to make sure it gets on the agenda for the next workshop. The next item on the agenda is a discussion concerning the draft fiscal year 2016 budget. We've had a preliminary discussion about the budget. There were some questions that were posed. Do we have any other discussion that we need to make? Kim, I guess it's all directed at you if there is any.
Yeah.
You want to make any comments?
We have been looking at where to increase the dilapidated structure line item, and but we haven't come up with what we're going to reduce, and so we're still working on that. I'm not able to tell you if we're able to do that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. And just an FYI, we did open up, we had some bids today for our list of dilapidated structures that we currently have. And I want to say, and this is just an estimate, I think one of them came over, well, they both were over $100,000 to do 11 homes.
11 homes.
Well, and I believe one it's downtown on First Street that took the majority of, that was the biggest. And I haven't looked at all of them yet, but we're able to award per address.
Structure.
And so that's probably what we'll end up doing. But so.
What was the one downtown that's so expensive?
The one downtown that was expensive, they both contractors rounded, or both people that submitted estimates rounded up, because neither one of them had the capabilities at the time of the estimate due to the short window that we wanted them to operate under in getting us the estimates. They were very fearful due to the age of the building that asbestos may be present, so they rounded up substantially on the off chance that asbestos would be there.
Brick and mortar, or?
I believe so.
Is it is it large?
It's decent size, and then another addition to the cost is it sets atop a full-size basement that'll have to be backfilled, and that means we're going to have to truck dirt in to fill it because there's nothing there to put right back in and cover it with. So between the asbestos and actually having to bring dirt in to fill it with, it really drove the price up on that one.
Is that a priority building? Is that something we really need to?
It's one that's kind of up there, yes.
Which building?
Yeah, where
is this building? Well,
It's on First Street.
It is?
Yeah, it's on First Street.
South First or?
Who's on First?
Yeah.
He's on second.
What's it say?
I'll be glad to get to the address. If I gave you one right now, it would
He's our shortstop.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But that obviously is more than what was in the entire.
Yeah.
More than what was in the
Yeah.
entire budget.
Yeah.
So
But-
obviously, and we wanted that budget to.
111,000.
Well, but one of the reasons too that we wanted to go ahead and bid in the list of structures that are dilapidated is a lot longer than that, but we wanted to go with, we had a rhyme and a reason, and I really don't want to go into it right this minute, but we had a rhyme and a reason why we picked these handful of structures that we went with, and then the reason why we went ahead, knowing that it would exceed this year's budget, we didn't know how much it would exceed it, but we'd be able to roll it right into next year's and be able to spend it right away on whatever was allocated, and then we'd be dead in the water for 11 months or whatever.
Not the money. When he says roll into next
Right,
year,
no,
we're not
roll,
talking about the money.
not
We're
roll
talking
money
about-
over, but
I just
roll
want to
right
put
into
that
the
out
next
there.
year, pick up whatever money is allocated in next year's budget,
Yeah.
be able to spend it, and then,
Finish
you
them
know,
off. Yeah.
as far as, we'll still be able to work on grass, weeds, trees, and stuff like that, but as far as tearing structures down, that won't happen until, fiscal year 16, 17.
How much is that structure by itself?
It was,
it one of
one was 17, 18, one was 19, 20.
So-
Oh, there's two big
Oh.
ones then.
No, the two
bid
quotes,
estimates.
the two estimates, right.
That
So
was the
the-
big
so
one.
they're right there between $15,000 and $20,000 just for that one.
one.
And when we've got, what, 25 left in that account,
Yes.
that's a substantial hit.
So how many structures do we have, Chief, that we need to tear down the line, right? I mean, do we have a head
We're
count, so to
just,
speak?
right now, we're just going off the one list
Yeah.
that I inherited that previous councils have put together over the years.
Right, okay.
That's not new generated structures. That is, holy
It was
moly, this list has been
11.
handed, it's like the Holy Grail or something. It's been
Right.
handed down from
Everybody gets
generation
it.
to generation.
Take this list, see what you can do.
Well,
Right.
it grows all the time, because as we put things off, another one's dilapidated, you know, so it kind of, it's a list
There were
that doesn't.
51 houses on the list originally.
How many?
51.
And some of those have been taken
them
care
have
of
been
voluntarily
taken
because we put pressure on them and, you know, they just said, oh, okay, we didn't know it was that big a problem, we'll take care of it ourselves because we don't want you putting liens on our property.
I don't think we're down to 11, I think we still got.
No, we're not down
But
to
you just
11,
picked 11.
no. We chose these structures, we
Be
applied
next.
this super secret formula to it.
And some of
and
those
we
11,
picked these
those people could still do it themselves, right?
Oh, at any time they could do it themselves, and we would love for them all to do it themselves.
Yeah.
But
And it does happen.
chances.
Are these all pretty visible structures?
Some are, some are not.
Well, I think the tenor of the council has been, since the retreat, is that this was a focus that we wanted to make sure got
Right,
done.
right.
And we made some significant inroads into it, that's why we wanted. to
And obviously,
budget reflected that.
the way we rank them, obviously, visibility is a key thing because we know that it affects tourism, which affects dollars, which affects so many other aspects of the town. And then another big, how they fall on the ranking of the list is the number and type of complaints that we receive from the citizens. You know, sometimes you get people that complain and you know, sometimes the complaints are legitimate and sometimes they're just complaining because they're at war with a neighbor. And then sometimes they complain and holy moly, I mean, you've got all kinds of vermin and mold and slime and stuff growing out of the house, and it's terrible, and it's in a neighborhood full of kids and houses and things like that just really attract children, and it's a bad thing. So it's something we need to get addressed, whether or not it's on, you know, a main route or not. So we really tried to pick the ones off the list that were as pertinent as possible.
But is that one of the, I mean, if we have 11 and we know that there's some that are going to be pushed over the next year, can we actually just have maybe a workshop where we sit down and say, these are the ones we like to prioritize this year? I mean, because I haven't seen the list, so I don't know what those addresses are.
That's already been done.
Well-
They're voting, that's what they're working on.
Well, that's what they're doing. We're going to get a huge list and here, vote on these. I would like for us to go, well, which ones, and have a little more information. So which ones
Originally, I mean,
we potentially put off.
at this point in time, I don't think it's wise for the council to change the 11, obviously, because that would ensure that the money for this year won't get spent.
And everyone's.
Does that make sense?
But we don't have a
And that's your deal anyway, you pick
Well,
it, that's what.
My
I'm
point's
just-
around 100,000.
I'm just
We're gonna
saying,
have
but
to not do
if
something.
you wanted input into the 11 that we have, as far as ranking them, I mean, originally, I was scheduled to bring those 11 to you, and it was one of those workshops that went long right towards the end of when Larry was going out.
Right.
And it never got brought back up because then we transitioned into blah, blah, blah,
Can we
blah,
say
blah,
next
blah,
time?
and other things.
This
That's-
is the concern is he wants to move forward and get as much done this year, because we have to have him tore down and an invoice in hand before September 30th. And so it's, you know, it's August.
Which is the
8th.
new budget.
So here's my
Yeah.
concern, is
Yeah.
you said 100 grand, even if we get extra money toward this line item, it's not gonna be 100 grand. So.
For next year.
Next year,
For next year.
that's next year's money.
I know, for
That's
next,
October.
I know, but we talked about, we don't have near that, and even if we get money, it won't be 100 grand.
But what I hear, and he wants to tear down, we want to tear down as many between now and the new budget with the money.
Right, because we want to spend.
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
Right.
Yeah, just tear them down.
We want to spend this line item that we have, otherwise that money goes
Well, you're
away.
saying 11 just for the end of the.
Yeah.
Oh, I
It's
see.
gotta be a
Well, and whatever's
calendar.
left off that
We
11,
can't wait.
I think we're all,
I see.
all in target with you.
okay,
Yeah.
whatever's left off that 11
Then we'll. put
goes
that-
into
okay.
next year.
All right, right.
Because we've already jumped through all those legal
Right.
loopholes that we need to justify, because that took forever
I see.
for us to reach the point where we're at now.
And there's
So
only
we don't
20
want to start all over, and we don't need to.
Sure.
No.
And there's only 25 grand in that account?
I think that's all that's left,
That's left.
give or take right now. There's
Yeah.
not,
Left.
there's not a whole lot.
I was thinking it's more than that, but, yeah.
But,
I think
okay.
originally it's like 40, and I
Yeah.
don't know that you might have spent 10.
Yeah,
So it might be
there's,
30.
yeah. So we'll get something done, it's just not gonna be,
But you don't need our approval to do that, right? You can just start tearing them down.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, we're
But
gonna move
normally,
forward.
I mean, well, I say normally, this is the first time for me to do it, first
Yeah.
time for police department in years to do it. What I wanted to do was bring the 11 to you and go, look, just to let you know, these are the ones that we are moving forward on. Not necessarily to ask for approval, but just to say, look, yes, here we are.
Just so that we know.
Just so you're in the loop, because, you know, obviously, all these structures are gonna be in one of your wards, and somebody, probably somewhere maybe, is gonna.
Strange.
But-
Exactly, exactly.
The first meeting in September, we are bringing our recommendation of
Okay.
who to award which properties we want to tear
We'll
down.
focus on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we will be bringing it
Yeah,
back.
So you're only going to have less than 30 days to tear them down then?
Yes.
Right, and it's gonna be really touch and go, how fast they're gonna be able to do that.
Well, we can encumber the money, well, and it may be November before a house gets torn down, but we can let the bid encumber the money this budget.
I'll just do what
So yeah,
I'm
go
told.
forward with that.
Yeah.
So back to the budget.
Yeah, because we're talking about budget, that's
Yeah.
why I was confused, so. okay.
But yeah, we're looking how we can add $20,000 to it. But if you have any changes that you want to make, please let us know now, because September, the next meeting in September, it'll go on as is. The
I thought we
public
were
hearing.
going to do it on the second meeting in September.
I think that's when you have to do it by.
Yeah.
I think the staff wanted us to do it by the first meeting. They were gonna hold the public hearing and have the vote at that night if we could. That's what we talked about at the last meeting.
Well, we probably ought to have another workshop then, I would think, between now and then, to sit down and go through it again one more time just to confirm.
Well, what questions are there now?
I don't know, I just said, I don't know, I haven't, Bruce was putting together a whole list of stuff and he's obviously not here.
Yeah, he was gonna go over some stuff, I thought.
He's not here, that's what we were gonna do in this.
Well, I think, what I heard him say is that the budget is there's nothing different about this budget as compared to last budget. And it's amendable. It's always amendable. And so, if we were able to move forward, and I know that he is wanting to put some information out to help educate, how we transfer money from here to there and what pays for this and what pays for that. So, but as far as the budget goes, if there's anything that you want to change, let us know.
And the only thing we talked about was
The
the
dilapidated structure.
dilapidated structures. We wanted to up that, but we didn't tell you where to get the money from.
Yeah.
But so September 1, we can have that and we can have it on the agenda. But if we find something between now and then that's we're really upset with, then we can put it off to the next week if we have to.
You can,
But,
of course.
so it makes sense just to have it on
Yeah.
September 1 and so we can do.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would encourage you to go through the budget that has been submitted to us, proposed budget, and look at it carefully, and get any questions that you have submitted to Bruce and to Kim as soon as they come up, so that we can get resolution, get dialogue, but get resolution, and not wait till the last minute for any changes to any suggested changes to the budget or questions that you have. Okay, anything else on budget? Future items for discussion. I've got We have to deal with looking at the drilling requirements for oil and gas drilling. We still need to revisit that. We talked at the retreat of developing some kind of a schedule to have the various boards / committees come, let's just say one per workshop, and kind of tell us what they're doing and what challenges and opportunities they have. We need to get that schedule identified for those committees and boards. We need to go back and look at the public comment card that I think you brought up, Randall, to make sure it says what we want it to say, and we haven't. We need to revisit that. We need to revisit the ethics update of the ethics policy, and I would like to, at some point in time, have some dialogue on the Main Street program. I understand we had Main Street here at one time. Cody, I don't know if you're familiar, it's before your time, obviously, but quite a while ago. Maybe Maxine knows. But I'd like to revisit the Main Street program and what opportunities that has for funding of historical, I understand it's historical areas and funding and planning kind of all put together.
Yeah, it's very planning, tourism, and economic development, very similar to our current department.
And I'd like to visit that and see if that's something that we want to go back to, looking at, I guess, grants that are associated with it and so forth. But
We're going to invite somebody from that program?
well, I think we need to have some
reach out to Department of
expertise to come in. Is it state-run or federal?
It's through the Department of Commerce.
Okay.
The federally funded through the state.
I've been talking with some other mayors of various places, and it seems like that has had some impact on certain places. And maybe, and I know we had it here, it was gone or maybe outlived its usefulness or whatever, but I'd like to revisit and see if that has opportunity for us. What other items that we need to cover?
I would like to have I would like a board update on the CVB, on how we spent a pretty good chunk of money on advertising. I'd like to get a report on how that's going, was that enough, was that too little, we go the right direction. I would like to just get an update.
Okay, that kind of fits in with having one board or committee come and talk to us each month, but specifically?
Specifically this one because we fund it. Well, the hotel motel does, citizens fund it. They don't fund these other boards.
Yeah.
That's just all volunteer deal. They don't spend any money. This is the only board that we have that actually spends hard money. And so that's why I'd like to get an update on it.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have items for update?
Does the Parks Board spend
You're an
money?
advisory board.
If we spend that same money, it's on the same cost the hotel.
Well, any of the boards that then would.
Split.
Part of that money from motel goes to parks.
It goes to parks, but the board doesn't decide that. That's, they assist us when we're making plans, but they advise.
So who decides that?
You do.
The
Okay.
CVB's an advisory board though as well.
It's established as the advisory board.
Exactly.
Well, then maybe we need to look at the Parks one as well then. Anybody that we're spending money is what I would like to start
I
with.
think that was part of the thing we talked about at the retreat, of bringing them individually through, and so we get a better understanding of what they're doing. Do we need to revise their mission? Do we need to look at what kinds of things can we do to help them do their job? Those kinds of things. So at least that's what my notes called for. So just we'll work up a schedule and have some of those at the top of the list.
Well, winter's coming, we can burn the midnight candle. Cold winter night.
Do you want to prioritize these or just put them on the agenda every time?
Oh, no, we can't take them all. How about if we just, we'll ask Bruce to send it out to all, and we'll kind of give him our input in terms of prioritization. But they'll all get on there eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably a lot of it's based on who's ready to give us an update.
Right,
on
where the data, where the information is.
Got
Just
something
like
new,
what-
we need to catch up.
Yeah.
Well, for example, budgets are coming, so we'll be funding somewhat again CBB and parks. So I think that they would be a priority. Because again, they're taking hard dollars.
But those are earmarked from hotel motel tax funds,
Right.
so not really.
Set an ordinance by this board, right?
By a vote of the people.
Was it a vote of the people that allowed the CBB to?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Well, that's what set the hotel motel tax.
I'm talking about what
And how
set
it was
the
divided.
CBB and the Parks Board to spend that money. That was a vote of the people? Or that was an
How it was
ordinance by
divided, how it was divided, how it was to be spent between parks and the CBB.
Well, that's how they get funded, but how they spend those funds is what we're.
Yeah, that's what I'm
is more
saying,
what
so,
the-
but that was a vote of the people, and that those two entities were to receive that hotel motel funding?
The ballot language for my end, I can speak on it. It just says 2/3 of all all monies collected through the hotel motel tax is to promote tourism. I can't speak for the other
Right.
1/3, but and then the city council, of course, whenever the contract was refused from the chamber last year, established a CVB advisory board.
So, again, it was the council, not a vote, that established it.
Well, vote established the
The
revenue.
money,
The revenue
and
stream.
the council established the oversight of it.
Yeah. Okay, any other items at all? Okay, we're adjourned.